extindere economia partidei Delgado, acolo este va fi corner, dragi ascultători.
Oh, hello. Welcome to Valverde Broadcasting's Inner Sanctum. You find me here today working on the script for my latest video essay entitled I Wish I Was a Baller, a thesis that looks to explore the depiction of cantaloupe in modern day cinema. I think you're going to find it quite edifying. So, I suppose you're here wondering what's happened to this month's mailbag episode. Well, you're in luck, because today we are going to answer the questions put forward by our wonderful Patreon members. You know who you are. So, without further ado, let's have the first question from Movie Voice Jane.
You spend a lot of time on action, sci-fi, and fantasy movies, but will you also be looking at other genres, like suspense, horror, crime, and thrillers?
Hi team, Richard Jackson here, recording into my phone. I hope you won't judge me for that. Hi Brett. Yes, very much so. I think it's something that we've talked about a lot privately, Duncan and I, is that we really want to diversify a bit, and it's something... There's loads of stuff that I wanted to talk about when we were on Ollie's channel that we just couldn't talk about because it wasn't part of the, you know, the overarching theme of the channel or whatever, and people just wouldn't watch it. And you know, you could be forgiven for thinking that I just only like the Terminator and Predator and RoboCop, which is not true. It's just, unfortunately, is what got clicks. I'd like very much to cover, well, you've said suspense, horror, crime and thrillers. Yeah, very much so. I'd love to do that. And I've got a mate coming on, my mate Duncan Rule, other Duncan, and we're going to do, I think, 4 episodes of It Ain't Broke on Lucio Fulci. Do some kind of Italian horror, which would be really good. You know, things like Hitchcock as well I'd like to talk about. You've mentioned The Original Italian Job, which I think Duncan and I probably talk about The Original Italian Job. It's a fucking amazing film. And I'm really into a bunch of pretentious stuff like film noir and German expressionism and whatnot that I learned on my degree. I'd love to talk about that sometime. And we did touch on Orson Welles during the Get Shorty review. So, you know, yeah. I like that very much, and just thanks generally for your support, Brett. You've always been around for you've been around for a while now, you know, contributing and stuff like that, and it's good to have you around, and I hope your back's doing a lot better. Yeah.
Yes, we are going to be looking at lots of other genres and films. Of course, we put up Get Shorty. I'm wondering if that was after. I think it probably was after your question, Brett. But we will be looking at diversifying that and kind of looking at other movies as well. Obviously, these are, you know, the films we've discussed so far play in very similar pools to ones we've discussed before. But you know, the point really was to make sure we've tidied all that up. And also, quite honestly, these are, you know, the Aliens, Terminator, Predator, these are all franchises that get a lot of views and get a lot of people interested and excited, and they seem like topics people can discuss forever. So, you know, it was important that we cover them, but also, yeah, we are going to definitely try and be looking at other stuff as well. As far as the No Country for Old Men, Rear Window, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'd be up for talking about those with Richard, and I'm sure he would as well. So stay tuned.
Dear glorious overlords, what would your movie heaven concept be? Include a short story, actors, and crew. Also, what would be your movie hell, aka the worst combination of the above?
What would your movie heaven concept be? Include a short story idea, actors and crew. That is a really massive question. That's an insanely massive question. I talked about once, like, how I would like to do like a sort of $300 million dread horror movie based on City of the Damned, and like if I was doing that, I'd love to get John Carpenter to direct it. I'd love, you know, my prime director to director thing would be 80s John Carpenter probably, and I'd probably get 80s John Carpenter to do the music, but then also, you know, Brad Fiedel or someone like that. I'm really into sort of the electronic scores. There's a producer called High Contrast that I really like, who really grasps cinema, and he did a track for Trainspotting 2. I'd love to see him do it. In fact, if I was paying someone to do a full film soundtrack, it'd probably be High Contrast or Liam Howlett. That'd be great. In terms of crew, I'd definitely hire like Brad and Mark. Get your mates in, right? A bit of nepotism. Actors, that's quite tough, isn't it? I'd definitely have a bunch of. I'd have like Avery Brooks in there for sure. Clancy Brown. I'd like to get what's his name? Matey from Reanimator. Jeffrey Combs. He'd be great. I don't know. That's really hard, isn't it? It's really hard. That's a really tough one, but I hope that helps. Movie hell. Yeah, well, you know, you've got your Akiva Goldsmans, you've got your Michael Bays, you've got your Zack Snyders, particularly Michael Bay. I get what he does is very technical, but I just really can't stand it. I hate kind of like really generic orchestral scores. Like generic orchestral scores are great, but really kind of generic ones. So there's a lot of that about. Take your pick. Damon Lindelof is just writes crap and has ruined a bunch of stuff as far as I'm concerned with his mystery box shit that comes from the J.J. Abrams school of being confusing and boring. So yeah, those are good hitters. In terms of actors, there's not a lot of people I really hate. People seem to really hate actors, and I don't know if it ties into that thing of like hating celebrity or whatever. I can't think of many that I really hate, because even like Jai Courtney, who I've seen be really bad, when he's left to his own, like in Suicide Squad, that film sucks, but he's great in it because they let him have fun, and if you let him have fun, it seems he's quite good. So I don't hate him. You could definitely put modern day Bruce Willis in there because he just stinks up the place these days, doesn't he? In fact, I'd put in my movie heaven, I'd have 80s Bruce Willis, and in movie hell, I'd have current day Bruce Willis. God, I'm complaining about filmmaking, but this shot is really badly framed. That's what you get when you film on a phone, isn't it?
Movie heaven concept. God, that's an odd one. I suppose I would, you know, being who I am and being what I do for a living, I would obviously want to be involved. I do have some ideas that I for projects that I would like to do one day, and I kind of keep those close to my chest. I won't say what they are, but it would involve working with you know, a kind of my dream team, all the people who I've kind of met and worked with over the years, who I've built up an incredible like friendship and rapport and working relationship with. I would just want to get them all together for one big project that, you know, was a big love, a big passion project of mine, and you know, the main one I have in mind, it would be something that I think has legs and I think the audience would respond to and enjoy. You know, I obviously got people like Brad Watson, who I'd want to work with again, and Mark Price, and lots of other friends and people I've worked with recently, who I love and would love to be able to go to work with. So, you know, I know that's a bit vague. I know it's perhaps not what you had in mind, but there you go. That's an honest answer from someone in the industry. As far as a movie hell, again, I'm not in a position where I can name, you know, for me to sit here and start slagging off directors and crew and actors, it's just not going to happen. It's not a done thing. But what I would say is that, you know, any project where you've got difficult people to work with, or not even difficult people to work with, but just a bunch of people who do not jive. You know, I've been on sets and stuff where it's like people are talking across each other, and just for whatever reason, people aren't getting it. People aren't understanding each other, and that can be a huge frustration and can make working difficult, and can sort of suckle the air out of the room when it comes to working collaboratively and creatively. So that would be my kind of movie hell, is a project where people just aren't jiving for whatever reason.
Question 1 for Duncan. Have you seen/heard about the script that Anthony Burgess wrote for The Spy Who Loved Me? If so, what did you think about it? I think it's completely insane.
The Spy Who Loved Me script by Anthony Burgess. I wasn't aware of this, and you know, I had to look it up in light of your question, Omar. It seems an odd one. I mean, I haven't read the script, I must confess, but I've read the articles about it that are online. I believe the script was destroyed in a flood in Monaco or something. Anyway, it's interesting. Obviously, it's slightly contradictory in that Anthony Burgess subsequently sort of came out decrying kind of the franchise and where it was at in the 70s, talking about how over the top and campy it had gotten, and yet it, by all accounts, the script that he turned in was, you know, hook, line, and sinker, mad and campy and over the top. What it does speak to, I think, and serves to highlight, is that period of films, and not just James Bond, but also other stuff as well, but certainly that 70s period of Bond films, really from Diamonds up until what would be Octopussy and not Octopussy, well, For Your Eyes Only. That period was, you know, I think with the benefit of hindsight, we're able to look at that and go, no, you know, that was a period and that was a set. But I think if you were living in it at the time, I don't think it was, you know, I don't think it was how we see those movies, you know, how we see current Bond movies now. I think it was, people were still kind of like, this is a bit silly, and there was all the kind of New York cinema and all the serious spy stuff going on as well. And I suppose these things were seen as a bit of a pastiche. And so I suppose, you know, in light of that, what Anthony Burgess might have been doing is essentially writing a spoof and sending it way up and saying, look, this is what this is now. This is not a serious spy franchise anymore. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's what he was trying to do. Maybe he literally was self-sabotaging to try and make a point to the Broccoli's. Who knows? But it's certainly an interesting case, and you know, it's just perhaps another what would you say, piece of the puzzle of that era.
Question 2 for Richard. What do you think about Patrick Stewart reprising his role as Jean-Luc Picard? When I heard the news, I was very excited.
Patrick Stewart reprising Jean-Luc Picard is great and everything but. I did a whole video about this, actually, for Star Trek Era, so you can go and see that on the channel, just scroll back. I mean, it's great and everything, I just don't really know what it's going to be and what it's going to be like. Star Trek Discovery, first season was alright, but it kind of went off the rails, and I feel like it's got too many creative links to that, and it's hard to know what it's going to be. I really like that Red Letter Media pitch for it, which is not going to be what gets made. And it's nice to see that picture that came out where Patrick Stewart is in the writer's room. That's encouraging. It's nice to see he's got some kind of creative input, which at this point in his career, I expect he would do. So yeah, I don't know, but I look forward to watching it, or at least I'm going to watch it. It'd be nice to see that character come back.
1. Of all the things you have done career-wise, what are you most proud of?
Of all the things that I've done career-wise, what am I most proud of? It's difficult, you know. I mean, I've done roles in movies that I've won awards for. I've been on some big sets. I couldn't isolate one thing as far as acting is concerned. I suppose what I would say is the decision to pursue my dreams and to pursue my career as an actor, I suppose overall is what I'm most proud of. It's not every day am I proud of that decision. You know, when money gets tight or when things are quiet, it tends to make one quite reflexive and wonder if I made the right decision. But no, I think overall that stepping out like that, I had a day job and I had sort of security and stuff, and I chucked it all in to go and pursue what I wanted to do, and that was what, 8 years ago, well, nearly 9 years ago, and you know, it's not easy, but it is me, and I couldn't go back to that. I couldn't give it up. It's such a part of me, and it's so what I love to do. To pick a career highlight, actually this year, I think, and I don't want to jinx it, so I can't talk about it, so it's not very helpful. But I did a project this summer that I'm very proud of, you know, and it's incredibly ambitious. I think it's going to be a big game changer. You know, assuming that everything goes to plan, I think it's going to be pretty exciting, and you'll find out more about it soon. I was just very proud of getting to work with the people I got to work with on that, and overcoming the challenges that presented as a project.
That's quite hard for me. It's still developing at the moment. I just started a new career full-time about a year ago, and I've done some cool stuff there. I mean, I'm very proud of the fact that I started up a business and stuff on my own and got cracking into it, and just kind of took the plunge. I haven't done anything massive with that yet, you know, but I am quite proud of it. I was very proud that I managed to, one way or another, I managed to work on 2 actual feature films this year. I acted in one and I did prop work in another, which is really good because it's a nice bit of industry stuff that I managed to do. So that's nice, but I haven't done anything amazing just yet. Just having my own career, I'm pretty proud of that.
2. Do either of you like John Carpenter? If so, favorite movie?
Do I like John Carpenter? I like John Carpenter very, very, very much. One of my favourite directors ever. Quite easily, so I would say. Favourite one? That's really difficult for me. They Live is up there, but also I've got a real soft spot for the start of his career, so Dark Star I just love. I could watch Dark Star anytime. Also Precinct 13, and obviously John Carpenter is an amazing musician. Precinct 13 is one of my favourite soundtracks, and like I say, They Live, Big Trouble, like up to a point it's all good, so I don't really like to have to pick one. And obviously The Thing is up there, Escape from New York, and blah blah blah, but all the stuff with Kurt Russell is great. But let's say They Live just now, shall we? We're going to say They Live.
Do I like John Carpenter? Yes, of course I like John Carpenter. Who doesn't? Of course, why not? I am a big fan of his. I haven't seen all of his movies. I mean, I must confess I've not seen a great deal of them. I must watch Escape from New York again. I did watch it a very long time ago, and I must revisit that. For me, it's The Thing. That's my favourite of his movies, without a doubt. It's the one I come back to frequently. I will always stick that on. Usually every year or two I'll have to watch it again because it's just so brilliant. So yeah, definitely that.
3. Did either of you watch HBO's Westworld? If so, did you like it?
I have watched the first, I want to say 6 episodes of Westworld, and I get that it's very good. I mean, it's very well made and very well acted, and I love it's got, you know, people like excuse me, it's got people like Ed Harris, who I'm a big fan of, and of course Sir Anthony and Tandy Newton, and God, I mean, incredible cast and production values. Jeffrey Wright, of course, but it hasn't struck a chord in me. I don't know why. It's not really spoken to me yet, but I intend to keep watching it.
I did not watch HBO's Westworld. I'm really bad at watching American series. Well, not American series, but just series. Because I just find them too time consuming. I'll sit and watch animated stuff all day because the episodes tend to be 25 minutes and probably speaks to my horrifically diminished attention span, I suppose. But I have not watched it. Big fan of the original movie though. I've got a nice Blu-ray of that. That was one of my favourites growing up. And I understand they've done nice things with it. So, I don't know. Maybe I should watch it, stop being a prick. And we will give thanks to our propaganda minister, Ellie, and she's doing a wonderful job. And I will pass her your thanks. She's probably watching this, actually.
How would you both like to see the channel develop over the next year in terms of content, etc.?
How would I like to see the channel develop? I think I would like to, you know, we've kind of tried to make sure that we keep regular output going on. So we want you guys to know that on Mondays and Wednesdays you get content. We're looking at bumping that up to Fridays as well, so that we've got just a consistent hit of output. And we've structured the way we do it in such a way that we can comfortably provide that. Richard and I are both self-employed, and you know, work can come up at a moment's notice, and we have to drop everything and go and do it. That's just the nature of our respective businesses. So we were keen to make sure that we could, you know, come up with shows that we could record in a day. You know, we could get a month's worth of said show done in a day. And then if we're going through a quiet period, you know, we can get more in the bank, so that we know that we've built in a buffer, so that we can provide consistent content. Now, outside of that, we're looking at doing mini documentaries. We're going to start shooting those. We've also had our sketches that we've had on the cards for a long time, including Walken with dinosaurs and all that good stuff. And I think we are going to try and shoot that. So we want, you know, we really want this platform of consistent content, and then to start building on that. And I would like to see the channel go as far as it can go. You know, I mean, in terms of the audience, the sky's the limit. You know, I would love to see it reach a big wide audience. You know, personally, it would be nice to make some money from doing this. I mean, Rich and I have been doing this for years effectively. Not this channel, of course, and it would just be nice to have it wipe its face and maybe, you know, provide us with some money to get by on while we're, you know, in between work and in between other projects as well. But it is something that we want you guys to enjoy and get a lot out of, and I hope that you do, and I hope that it is fun, and I hope that you know, you feel like we are providing you what you want, and we want you guys to have your say, and we want you guys to comment and have discussion and stuff around movies, because we know that's what you love to do, and it's what we love to do as well. So I hope that answers your question. But anyway, there we are.
Hi Mike, thank you for your question, and you've asked how you'd like to see the channel develop over the next year in terms of content and etc. Yes, so we want to keep doing It Ain't Broke and the podcasts every week. That's not going to change. We want to slot in more interesting and varied stuff round and about that. So I'm planning to do some mini docs, which I've said a few times in different places. So Duncan and I think, are going to just release random content on Fridays, stuff from me, stuff from him, stuff from both of us. We're doing some sketches that we've written, so little bits of comedy bits we would like to do. I'd like to get more guests on, I'd like to diversify a little bit, maybe go out and do some stuff in the field somewhere, that'd be nice. And yeah, kind of mini docs are my thing, in the style of those kind of movie drome intros that they used to do on telly back in the day. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
So, thank you very much for joining us today on the first inaugural Mailbag episode here at Valverde, where I am in no way chained to this desk and horsewhipped within an inch of my life to provide content. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you again soon. Goodbye. Wife's glasses.